prides itself as the amateur sports capital of the world. In the past, it's been the site of the Olympic swimming trials, as well as the '87 Pan Am Games and the NCAA's Final Four. And today, Indianapolis is the home of the 1991 World Gymnastics Championships. A crowd of over 15,000 is on hand at the Hoosier Dome for today's women's individual all-around competition. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. Welcome to our coverage of the women's all-around finals. Today, you're going to see 3 U.S. women who paced the United States to their first team medal in World Championships. They captured the silver. Betty Okino, along with Shannon Miller and Kim Zmeskal, will go against the top 33 in the world as they vie for the gold in 4 events. Working with me, 2-time Olympic gold medalist Bart Connor. And Bart, that was a great moment for the United States, but now can they win their first medal ever in the all-around?
Well, Gary, I really feel we're in for a historic moment for U.S. women's gymnastics. The U.S. team has done so well all week long. Betty Okino looks great, so does Shannon Miller. But I believe the best hope for the U.S. team is with Kim Zmeskal. She's great in the optional exercises. That's what they're competing today. It's going to be very exciting. When
you talk about gymnastics, you have to talk about the Soviets. Svetlana Boginskaya, she's the defending all-around champion.
And she is so wonderful. She's the most experienced gymnast here. She's the goddess of the sport right now, but she's in an interesting situation. She's up against the little tricksters, these young ladies who do the most unbelievable routines you've ever seen. It's going to come down to who sticks the landings. The difference between winning a medal and no medal at all will be just thousandths of a point.
Okay, another member of our broadcast team is Kathy Johnson, 2-time Olympic medalist, the captain of the '84 Olympic team. We're going to go to the podium now and let her explain what we should look for as we go into the women's all-around.
Thanks, Gary. The sport of gymnastics, though very easy to appreciate, can be very difficult to evaluate, particularly if you're not an expert. I'm sure many of you ask, what exactly do the judges look for? Well, I'll be honest with you, it is complicated, but we want to try to break it down a little to help you become a more knowledgeable spectator. Let's take form and amplitude first. Good form consists of really straight legs, perfectly pointed toes, and good body alignment. Amplitude is a word we often use in gymnastics. Whenever you see a gymnast fly way above the bar, soar through the air over the vault, and tumble higher than seems humanly possible, that's amplitude. Learning to determine the level of difficulty of a routine can be the toughest for the untrained eye, but let's give it a try.
Elements of difficulty are rated from A to D, A's and B's being the least difficult like these skills, and D the most difficult like these release moves. But watch the second one. It had never been done before in women's gymnastics until Kim Guang-Soo. That's super difficult. You'll see this round-off vault a lot today, but most of them will have a single twist, which is still very difficult, but this one has a double twist. You'd never believe they're worth the same, but they are, and we'll discuss that later.
So, now you have 3 elements used to evaluate routines: form, amplitude, and difficulty. See if you can recognize them in the upcoming performances.
Thank you, Kathy. The women compete in 4 events, 4 different apparatus: the vault, uneven bars, beam, and floor exercise. Earlier in the week in the women's team competition, the U.S. women won the silver medal for their best finish ever in the World Championships. After clinching the silver, 15-year-old Kim Zmeskal of Houston, Texas, was ready for her second vault. The crowd in the Hoosier Dome exploded. Bella Caroli, along with Marta Caroli, were excited as they anticipated what would be an outstanding score. A good score, I guess. A perfect 10 for Kim Zmeskal as the U.S. women win the silver in the women's team competition. And now we move to the all-around competition. Kim earlier on the first vault with a 9.925. They will take the best of 2 vaults. And here she goes on the second vault.
And she really needs to improve on that score. Great vault. Even a little bit better, I feel, than in the team competition. She had much more amplitude. Remember, we talked about that word. Height, distance from the horse. But in the team competition, that was the last event for the Americans. So in the spirit of the moment, they came up with a 10. I really feel it'll be difficult to get a 10 right now. This is her first event right off the bat.
And her score of 9.962. This is Betty Okino, another member of the youngest U.S. team to ever compete in the World Championships. A 16-year-old from Elmhurst, Illinois. She's going on the uneven bars.
And I would have to say this is one of her weakest events, and only because of one skill. The dismount is far too elementary for this level of competition. But the rest of the routine is gorgeous. There's a big release move coming up right here. Front Jaeger, way up in the air. And she'll set up for her second release move, a reverse hex. Now here comes that dismount sequence. It's only a single flip with a half twist. And as I said, far too easy for elite level competition.
It's a very good point, Kathy. She has good height and amplitude on her release moves, particularly on this reverse hex. Great form. But the most controversial part of the routine is the dismount. It's a simple front with a half twist. Normally would be a major deduction, but the Americans politic to get the value of this move raised, and I'll be very interested to see what score she gets.
Unfortunately, the scoring system does not always benefit the gymnast with the most difficult routine.
Betty with a 9.90.
Well, it looks like the politicking worked.
We will continue our coverage of the first rotation. When we come back, we'll take our first look at the Soviet women. Of the Soviet Union, the '89 world champion, the reigning queen of women's gymnastics. She's ready to go on the beam.
And usually, this is an event very difficult to start on. Hard to control the adrenaline, but she is very impressive on this event, particularly when she's under pressure. Here's her most difficult pass. It's 2 layouts in a row. Notice how she lands slightly forward in that lunge position. It's a trademark of hers.
No doubt you can hear the music in the background on the floor exercises being performed at this very time. Does that really distract you while you're on the beam?
Not really, Gary. You would not believe the amount of concentration necessary to compete on the balance beam. These gymnasts at this level can truly block everything out. Here comes her gainer layout step out. It's done off of one leg. Slight balance check there. That will be a very slight deduction. When I say slight deduction, I mean very slight. Look at the scores. They're all in the 9-9. But the important numbers to look at are those thousandths of a point. Here's her dismount, a round off double back. Oh, and a slight little step there. Again, another slight deduction. She had plenty of difficulty in that routine, though not the most difficult in the competition.
Here's something interesting, Kathy. Notice she points her toes when she runs. Talk about the maturity and the incredible polish that this woman has.
We talked about it earlier, form, and it's something the judges really look for, and it's her trademark.
And her score, a 9.912. So those slight errors you were talking about has given Zemeskel the early lead in the first rotation. While Boginskaya was on the beam, Romanian Cristina Bontas performed on the floor exercise.
And as you can hear, this routine was certainly designed to appeal to the American audience. Watch this tumbling pass. Double layout. That is amplitude. Way up in the air. For all the all-around contenders, she is by far the superior tumbler. This is a nice tumbling run coming up. Watch the full twist right here in the whip back, all the way through to a double back. I have to say this music is completely incongruous to the choreography. It's a very energetic routine, but the music is more like background music and a little distracting, actually.
It's funny, it's obviously designed to get the American crowd into it, but they don't seem to be interested at all. Maybe it's because Boginskaya is on the beam.
Hook gets that, full twisting double back, and perfect landing throughout the routine. Excellent technique.
Bontas of Romania, the floor exercise.